Hello there, everybody. This is Cholera, and I'm joined with Klazart, and we're going to be doing the OSL Round of 16 Day 1. This is very exciting. It's certainly going to have... Today we're going to see 4 matchups. 8 players are going to be playing today. The second game will be played a couple of days, but this is going to be very exciting. This is Jaedong versus Effort. Jaedong, the best ZVZ player out there. Effort, most likely the second best. And Luxury I would also put up there, except Luxury has been evidently on drugs since he won the MSL because he's been playing horribly recently. So I would say Effort is definitely in the number 2 slot. And I've been waiting for this game for a long time. In fact, I just watched, did a commentary of Luxury versus Effort, which was very good. You know, Effort defeated Luxury with some very pretty play, and I was saying, well, I want to see him play Jaedong. I didn't realize he's going to do it right now. So I expect a good game. What do you think, Klazart?
Yeah, I mean, Zerg versus Zerg is kind of hard to predict. Sometimes it can be a little bit like, you know, that fight scene that you see that everyone copies again and again. After the Matrix, we had everyone using bullet time. So sometimes Zerg versus Zerg can be like that. It can all be about mutiling. But when you've got players like Jaedong and Effort on the scene, it can also be very exciting. And to be honest, I'm actually looking forward to this a lot because I've heard a lot about this new kid on the block, Effort, and I've heard that he's quite reminiscent of Savior in his prime. And you know, on the one hand, that gets me makes me a little bit sad because I don't want people to think about replacing Savior as you know, potentially their favorite Zerg player, although I think a lot of people already have. But at the same time, I guess, you know, Bruce Lee's got to go, Jet Li's got to come in, and that's just the way the world works. So I'm still excited. I'm still looking forward to it, and I'm hoping for a great Zerg versus Zerg matchup between these two players.
Absolutely. And by the way, Jaedong is the teal Zerg here at the bottom right, and Effort is the purple Zerg at the upper left. This map is Outsider, and you know, normally I would say this is the matchup where choice of build orders really matters. And by the way, we are seeing a 9 pool coming out from Effort. This is actually exactly the same positions and map, I just realized, as Effort versus Luxury was, in fact. And Luxury was well, Luxury went for a 12 pool into expansion, but Effort also went for a 9 pool gas. But here we have Jaedong going for an over pool gas. So Effort has gone 9 pool gas, Jaedong has gone over pool gas. It means most likely Jaedong's going to have a slight advantage here. Over pool gas is something that solidly beats the 9 pool opening. And, you know, based on what I saw in the previous game, Effort most likely is going to go straight to Lair, so he's not going to be able to pull off an early speedling attack unless something drastically changes, which I don't think it will. Normally I would say build orders can determine the game, but with really, really top-notch Zerg versus Zerg players, especially Jaedong, build orders really don't matter as much. And that is probably Jaedong's record, by the way, 83.1%. He just defies build orders, and, you know, when other people throw rock and he has paper, I mean, he has scissors, it automatically becomes like a nuclear weapon and just kills them anyway. Like, he's just uncounterable.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because we talk about StarCraft and it looks like Jaedong's Overlord is actually going to get to Effort space first and get right over there because he's scouted in the correct directions to start with, so that gives him a bit of an advantage. And Jaedong's already teching to Lair, and he's seen those Lings rushing out of Effort space, and so therefore he's going to be in an excellent position to get his Lings out and to block his ramp to defend against this 6-Ling push from Effort, which would be the one thing that with the 9 pool Effort would have been relying on. I gotta tell you, I'm a huge favorite of Overpool. I'm not a huge fan of 9 pool personally, especially in Zerg vs. Zerg. Effort now trying to push up that ramp, and Jaedong's now got his 6-Ling there, and he's, you know, unless he makes the kind of mistake that we saw Hyuk do in a previous Zerg vs. Zerg matchup, I don't think Effort's going to have any chance of breaking this, and he's going to really have to do something spectacular to pull out the victory against Jaedong. And it's just he's locked Jaedong in his base, but Jaedong's happy to sit there for now. And yeah, I mean, when you talk about builds, I am a huge fan of the Overpool build because it's just so incredibly flexible. It allows you to get a strong economy going, it allows you to tech, and oh, he manages to sneak a Zergling through, and Jaedong almost pulls all his Zerglings off the line. He's actually pulled most of his Zerglings off the line to chase that one Zergling of Efforts that's actually circling around in Jaedong's base, and that's not something that Jaedong wanted, but I don't think it should bother him too much. Effort surprisingly didn't try and follow that Zergling up when Jaedong did pull some Zerglings off to try and chase it, but Jaedong's now stopped chasing it with most of his forces, and he takes it out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you about Overpool being flexible, although I think it's being used less and less often recently. Looks like Jaedong's actually expanding or putting a second hatchery inside of his base. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Usually that's, I'd say that's fairly non-standard. And the reason why Overpool is getting weaker is because, you know, we're getting a lot more macro Zerg openings at times. So we're going to see a lot of 12 pool gas into expansion or even 12 hatches. And especially since everybody has been doing 12 pool into Expo. And Overpool actually doesn't do much against it, whereas the 9 pool has a chance of killing it off. By the way, we are seeing Effort going for a expansion, and he's got a second hatch outside. Jaedong spotted it, of course. You know, Overpool can kill a 12 pool, but it's generally it's pretty bad against the 12 pool actually, because of just how it's slower and really isn't able to kill off a 12 pool. Anyway, it looks like Effort really needs to you know, really needs to try to get up this ramp. I mean, really, it's not going to make that much of a difference. In fact, Jaedong is the one who actually might need to go for an attack. We're going to have to see, though, because Mutalisk play is going to be very important, and both players have spectacular Mutalisk micro. I'm going to guess both of them are going to go Mutas instead of any Scourge, because, or not many Scourge at least, because both know that they're so good. And it looks like Effort is actually going to get up the ramp with 3 Lings.
Yeah, and if he can kill some drones here, he, especially in Zerg versus Zerg, it's so hard to replace those drones. And Jaedong with some brilliant drone micro, I don't think he lost a single drone in that. He's got popping out as well. Oh, he did? Okay, I wasn't sure of that. It looked to me like he only lost, he killed Zerglings there and didn't lose any drones. But it looks like Effort has sniped a drone. And drones are so hard to replace because larvae are so precious in Zerg versus Zerg. Even though Jaedong did put that second hatch down. Personally, I think it's a very clever move by Effort to take that natural expo because he knew that on builds he was probably slightly behind. So therefore, by putting that second hatchery outside and going for that expo, he's giving himself the extra gas if the game goes long enough, and therefore trying to negate Jaedong's build that way if he can stay in the game long enough. And I think that will allow him to get some Scourges in addition to the Mutalisk if he can get that second gas up and running, which might just be the thing that can tilt the game in his favor. Having that little bit of extra gas, but Jaedong now pushing out with Lings and Mutalisks.
Yeah, Jaedong is going to have to go for a combined arm attack. I mean, this is going to make Effort temporarily quite vulnerable, though. And I think also Jaedong putting it inside his base is an interesting move that we don't see very often. But I think in this case it might have been the correct move. And in fact, I think the natural expansion on outsider is pretty hard to hold. The outside natural is there's 2 inside naturals, but Zergs never take it because they're mineral onlys. Looks like Jaedong is going to be pushing up here with a bunch of Lings, not even speed upgraded in fact, and looks like Effort is pretty ready to defend here. Effort actually has used the Scourge pretty well to chase away Jaedong's Scourge. Both players are killing off each other's Scourge as expected. They have very good micro, but Jaedong actually lands 1 Scourge on Effort. Jaedong chasing Effort. Effort actually has fewer Mutalisks than Jaedong does. I'm actually surprised at this result here. Jaedong focusing fire and Effort knows he's in trouble. I think he's down at least 1 or 2 Mutalisks, and Jaedong looks like he could close the game out really quickly if he wins a couple more of these little skirmishes.
Yeah, Jaedong continues to pick off Effort's Scourges, and Effort hasn't been able to sustain Jaedong, and Effort's lost on GG. Oh my god, shake of the head by Effort. And Jaedong, he's just been Jaedonged. He's just completely been Jaedonged by the Jaedong. Yeah, it looked like it was reasonably even, but Jaedong just once again superior in the air, and there's nothing Effort can do, and Jaedong's just going to close this game out. And again, it just came down to Jaedong making better use of his resources and of his Muta Scourge. I mean, just superior micro in the air. There's not much else. It's just he aimed his missiles better, he dodged better, and when it came to the dog fighting, Jaedong was top dog. GG, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I can't say it's an unexpected result. Obviously, this is Jaedong we're talking about. An Effort put up a good fight. I think in order to beat Jaedong, you need to basically, as a Zerg, you basically need to surprise him, or you have to get the build that directly counters Jaedong's build. And even if you do that, half the times, or almost all the times, Zergs lose anyway, even if they get a build that supposedly counters Jaedong's, because Jaedong just manages to pull out some brilliant response. But in this case, Effort's build is actually slightly weaker than Jaedong's in this situation, and Jaedong, like you said, had just better micro throughout. I think, you know, both players had the same amount of gas going into Mutalisks. It's just Jaedong's Mutalisks were better, basically. I mean, I know it's complex micro there. Effort, of course, wasn't able to land any of his Scourge. Jaedong was able to land at least 1 that I saw. But these minuscule differences, of course, are magnified, you know, when it's early on in the game. But anyway, this is only the first game of this group here, Group A. every group has 6 games, so this means basically Effort still has a chance of coming back. Jaedong, though, has secured himself a nice 1-0 lead here in this group, and we'll be moving on right now to the first games on Group B, which I believe is the highly anticipated. Is it the highly anticipated? No, it is not the one I was thinking of. Is it? No, it is. Oh, well, it's Stork versus Type B. It was recommended too. The third one we'll do is Bisu versus Gogo, which a lot of people were saying a lot of good things about. Anyway, any last thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no, it was enjoyable for what it was. I was just surprised at how easily effort was overcome. Um, GG is
Uh,
all I can say
all
really
right,
there.
Dino Toss time. See you guys in the next commentary.